Boozed and Confused is a comedy and weird topic podcast. Adult language may be used, probably by me. While our episode topics may be educational in nature, we are not responsible if your children start dropping the F-bomb to their kindergarten class. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Carolanne just yelled at me because I was trying to do that joke where I forget my name. But I'm Matt. She's Carolanne. This is Boozed and Confused, and sorry for not being funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it was tradition, but I guess not. What are we drinking? I'm drinking coffee because I'm really tired. What's the housekeeping? I'm just trying to follow the script.
All right, so yes, most of those things are true. I did not yell at you.
I didn't say you yelled at me.
Yeah,
I just said
no, you totally
just said
did.
We are deleting this. This is not funny. Follow the script. That's what you said.
Okay, well, we'll go back and listen. But
You already erased it.
No, to the first half of your rant.
Oh.
Anyways,
I
I'm
wouldn't call it a
Carolanne.
rant. I wouldn't call it a rant. My name's Matt. I wouldn't call it a rant.
And this is Boozed and Confused.
Boozed and Confused.
And Matt is drinking coffee. That part is also accurate.
Yeah. I had 2 Guinness this afternoon, I guess, watching some EPL in the morning. It doesn't feel right without a Guinness in hand. So I think that more than makes up for me not having one right now. But the coffee is just coffee. There's no funny stuff in there. As of yet.
We'll see how this episode goes. Behind the scenes moment. I know in podcast time it's only been about 33 milliseconds, but
It's actually been about 20 minutes.
had to pause for a phone call, and Matt is now drinking coffee with pumpkin Kahlua and
Fake Baileys from
Baileys,
Aldi.
but
and
it's like a caramel.
I actually hate it.
And we'll see how it tastes.
We're going to do it right now. This is because of that phone call where we make sure that our phones are silenced when we record. Thank the gods that my phone was on silent, actually, and it was your phone that went off. I am vindicated.
Okay. All right. How's the coffee?
It's not that bad.
Okay.
I'm actually okay with this.
Good. Great.
Would actually make more.
All right. This has been a chaotic first 2.5 minutes of a podcast. So, housekeeping items before we get into today's topic.
Thing the first, phones are on silent.
Second housekeeping item. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry about the intro. It's usually not this chaotic, but we publish new episodes every Monday on your favorite platform of choice. And we can also be found on all of your favorite social media platforms. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if social media isn't really your thing, that's totally cool. Feel free to send us an email at boozedandconfusedpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your creepy stories, any topic recommendations, some unsolved mysteries. Maybe you grew up in a haunted house or something.
Yeah. Also thinking about doing a cat-centric TikTok.
What?
For us, it's going to be Boozed and Confused. It's going to be a cat-centric TikTok page.
What?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to send everyone
What's in that
cat
coffee,
TikToks.
boy?
I think I'm just kind of jacked up from the caffeine. Honestly, I feel like a second wind.
Oh
I
my
think I
gosh.
should drink coffee instead of booze.
All right. Well, last part of housekeeping items.
We're still doing that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Before we get into it is the best way that you can support us if you enjoy our podcast and you listen every week, or you get to the end of this episode for the first time and you want to support us, is by leaving us a review and subscribing on whatever platform it is that you listen on. And truly, this goes for like any of the podcasts that you listen to, especially the little guys like us. It's the best way that other people can find the podcast, really. So outside of word of mouth. So it really does make a difference. And the best part is if you leave us a review on your platform of choice and you take a screenshot and you send it to us, we will send you some Boozed and Confused stickers. So it'd be super appreciated.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks.
Good episode. All right. We'll see you next week.
All right. All that being said, all that being done, what are we talking about today?
Like super soldiers, gene editing, gene splicing, gene modifying, superhuman soldiers. I think we're on like a streak here of 2 weeks of people trying to make their guys be better.
Well, this part today, this week's was accidental, but to simplify this topic, we are discussing if China is creating super soldiers.
If this were like 3.5 years ago, I'd be doing a Trump impression, but I'm just over it now. I'm just over it.
All right. So if you follow the news at all, like
I don't.
even the tiniest bit, if you get like news alerts to your
You're
phone.
my news.
Yes.
Carolanne, what's my news? Good morning. Your news for Monday is everything's terrible.
Yeah, I try to filter out the bad stuff. But so if you follow the news at all, you have probably seen a recent report that came out within the last couple of days around China creating super soldiers through biological engineering. And I know it's kind of creepy, but if you are like 80% of the population and you only read the headlines, you probably heard this and you have a lot of questions because we have all the research done and I still have a lot of questions.
I actually have more questions, but more about what it actually means to edit like DNA and genes than it actually like what the effect is.
I feel like I've gotten a good intro with like Jurassic Park.
I feel stupider. I've watched the video and I feel stupider.
So some of the questions that you might have had from reading this headline, like, is this real? What the hell is a super soldier? Or how can they do that?
Wait, that's illegal.
So we have some answers. The short answer is yes, it is real. The long answer
is it's real, but
yeah, we'll get into the details. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, a quick overview of super soldiers for those who are new to the concept. If you are a sci-fi fan, this is probably not at all new to you. So the idea of super soldiers has mostly been a fictional concept. It's really common within your sci-fi, stories, like your movies and your comic books and, what have you.
I'm going to throw some anime in there. Shout out to all my fellow weebs.
God, I wish you wouldn't air that.
What? Oh, my laundry?
I'm just kidding. There's a couple anime that I actually kind of enjoy. Anyways, so super soldiers are typically created through surgical means, eugenics, genetic engineering, cybernetic implants, drugs, brainwashing, traumatic events, an extreme training regimen, or some other scientific and pseudoscientific means. And spoiler alert for anybody who watches Black Mirror, I'd maybe skip ahead like 15-20 seconds, but there is a fantastic episode that kind of talks about this in a sense. It's called Men Against Fire, and in this episode the military are hunting humanoid mutants that they call roaches. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that they weren't roaches at all. They were normal human beings, but the soldiers had been implanted with a piece of technology called MASS, which was a neural implant which altered their reality. So the implant is given to the soldiers so they can kill without hesitation or remorse. And essentially these soldiers were just committing genocide that was justified by the military as genetic cleansing.
Yeah, I actually remember this one. This was one of the good ones. They rarely miss with Black Mirror. I think the newest season was a few misses. Mm-hmm. Like that one with the video game.
Yeah, no, I was hoping we could ignore that.
but not like the Star Trek video game one. That one was pretty cool.
Yeah, no.
other one.
Yeah, we all know.
That one.
We all know.
And then there's that one with Miley Cyrus, which I think is also pretty cool. But yeah, modifying the soldiers to not see anything. I guess is it really, that is, I guess, more like cybernetic implant than it is like genetic modification.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that in Black Mirror. It's like always like, oh, here's this little thing. Boop. Now your eyes see something different.
Really, Black Mirror is just a warning about technology for all of the human race.
It's become less of a, oh, this could happen. It's more like, this is going to happen in like 5 years.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we stopped watching, is because it just gets a little bit too real.
It just hits a little too heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, but I kind of getting a little vibe to watch it again. I'm getting the itch. I'm all out of anime.
So usually within these depictions, if you will, there's this like mad scientist or like some kind of rogue personnel who is the one to blame for these, like genetic modifications or things like that. And that's because it's typically thought that super soldier creation would push the bounds of ethics and morals that most would follow. So it kind of is the idea that like science, the science community has more morals and ethics than that, and that the military wouldn't really go along with it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a game of tag where you start making up rules about glue and having like a force field and stuff. I think this is kind of the game they're playing. Is anything ahead of us is uncharted territory, so like the rule making is kind of like moot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, like I just said, I think we're at the part of the argument in regards to creating a super soldier is more, it's less if we can and more like should we, right?
Yeah, what's that quote where it's like...
There is no try, only do?
No, not that one. It's like you were so focused on whether or not you could that you weren't focused on whether or not you should. Is that Jurassic Park?
I think that's whenever I eat Chinese food leftovers.
Oh, gosh.
Like I'm feeling that right now. No, pretty much to get into this, we'd have to talk about this thing called CRISPR. And CRISPR is spelled CRISPR. It's like one of those like really trendy apps where they always get rid of the vowels, which as an English teacher, that really just grinds my gears.
But as a millennial,
it just vibes so nicely.
Branding is on point.
It's super sharp. I mean, just like look at all this science. It's so cool. What would become CRISPR eventually was first explored back in 1987, which feels like 20 years ago, because I was born right around this time, a little after, but I generally feel pretty lacking in the science category of things, and I feel especially lacking and foolish when trying to figure out exactly what CRISPR is. So like I watched actually quite a few videos. It was like literally CRISPR for idiots, and I feel like I know less about DNA and crispy boys than I did when I started the research process. But I am going to give this my best shot at describing what CRISPR is.
Good luck, everybody else.
This is going to be like that scene in Happy Gilmore. No, Billy Madison, when he's like describing stuff and they're like, you earn no points. So I think the concept of CRISPR is kind of like this. It's a way of finding a specific bit of DNA inside a cell. And once it's been located, the next step in CRISPR is usually to alter that piece of DNA. Yeah. CRISPR has also been adapted to do other things like turning genes on and off without altering their sequence. So I know there's like TAGC G. There's a lot of letters in there. Like, legit feel like we're just computer programs when I look at this stuff.
Maybe we are all just Sims. Maybe we should go back to that simulation
Can
episode
I get
we did.
Can I get wooed to death?
God.
Or what if we just lose all of our doors and ladders all of a sudden? Not ladders, stairs, and we just die?
Yeah, and we're just stuck in the basement because we can't figure out anything else.
Yeah.
So I guess this ties into that controversy that there was maybe like last year or 2 years ago, where I think it was like a pair of twins whose DNA was modified to remove like genetic abnormalities. I can't remember exactly what it was, but do you remember that? I should look this up and refresh my memory.
What I do know is that there's this thing called like designer babies.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it's extraordinarily expensive and entirely out of the realm of possibility for people like us. But, you know, if you want your kid to have a certain hair color, certain eye color, you can theoretically do that using CRISPR. Like you said, CRISPR has a number of applications that can be used and that have been used actually. But it can, you know, it can include correcting defects in the genes, treating and preventing the spread of diseases, as well as in like improving food crops.
Okay, so sidebar, I just looked this back up,
Totally
and
did.
it was actually China. And
I remember this.
China's CRISPR twins might have had their brains inadvertently enhanced. So it talks about this gene editing experiment. I'm sure that was quite the fucking experience for them, to make children resistant to HIV, but also enhance their ability to learn and form memories. And it was on two twins called Lulu and Nana, who had their genes modified before birth by a scientific team using CRISPR. And the goal is to make the girls immune to infection by HIV. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here, but...
But didn't the doctor get in trouble because it's super against ethics?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oops. Oh, you mean those ones that we were just testing? They were born? No. Totally cool. Being safe from horrible viruses and diseases, totally awesome idea. But also you can jump 10 feet in the air now.
Yeah, absolutely.
No negative side effects. Yeah. You can also see through bricks.
Yeah.
And you can use heat vision somehow. I'm actually getting some crazy like TV show vibes right now. I'm getting The Boys vibes. Mm-hmm. I'm getting, it's not really modifying, but like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. I'm getting lots of like super soldiers animes, like such as we got to cut this out. I can't keep airing my laundry of anime-ness. But since I've already begun, and to save you some editing, like Evangelion, I'm getting see, like now I'm panicking because like I'm on the spot. What was it? Ghost in the Shell was way more into like the tech infusion, but it's a cool genre, and I just want to move on back to real life, back to reality. Where like in a lot of these stories we're watching or absorbing, they've kind of crossed that threshold of it being okay or not okay. We are definitely still on like a threshold of ethical concern. And most like Western scientists consider this to be highly unethical, where you would manipulate genes to boost human performance. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it brings up a really interesting topic, though. Like, I would be curious on what like the community as a whole thinks about the idea. You know, if you go back to the doctor in China, who we also learned went to jail for this,
straight to jail.
But if you go back to the doctor in China who had edited the genes of the two twin girls, I mean, are we moving to a future where you can eradicate diseases like that because you create something within humans before they're even born? And I mean, like, theoretically, if you think about it, then like the children that come from those modified like babies would have those same sort of, and it's like eugenics in like a pretty fucked up way. But
I think when it's such a weird thing, because like the ideas are so cool of what they could be, but like looking back at history, it's always gone wrong. It's always gone horribly wrong.
Exactly.
Right? It's always gone horribly wrong. The idea of making a human being immune to a life-threatening disease sounds awesome, but there's always something on the other side of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about, things that don't necessarily have cures. So if you think of like Alzheimer's, for example, they've been making a lot of stride in research for it, but I have no idea what that is going to look like. But there's also no cure. There's a lot of research that they're finding out. But I mean, are we moving to a place where 50 years from now, you have something that's, you know what? This is too much of a fucking rabbit hole for me.
I'm out of coffee, but I can keep pouring this fake Bailey's and pumpkin whatever Kahlua into my cup.
Oh, God. Let's get back to CRISPR and China.
CRISPR, yeah. The ideas of augmenting humans using CRISPR is still kind of on the fringe of science, but this has not stopped countries from taking a walk down the path to kind of see what's going on. And so the concerns about China's super soldier creation were recently brought up by intelligence director John Ratcliffe.
Who's going to be unemployed in 6 weeks.
Why?
New administration.
Who dis? Ratcliffe said, U.S. intelligence shows that China has even conducted human testing on members of the People's Liberation Army in hopes of developing soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities. He said, there are no ethical boundaries to Beijing's pursuit of power.
I wouldn't expect a country that's in the middle of, genocide to have any ethical boundaries when it comes to human testing. You know what? Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if those two are connected.
Continuing on with China doing stuff that's a little sketch or big time sketch, the idea of China actually creating super soldiers is both parts fascinating and ethically terrifying. China's armed forces are the largest in the world, with an estimated 2.2 million people. Just this year alone, China spent $178 billion dollars, U.S. dollars.
Oh, yeah, sure.
On the defense budget. What did the U.S. spend on the defense budget?
I'll look it up, but I'm sure it's just gonna piss me off. Hold on.
Yeah, it's
So remember how I said it was gonna piss me off? I just looked this up. For the fiscal year 2020, the Department of Defense's budget authority is approximately $721 billion.
Oh, no.
Totally can't feed homeless people and give them shelter. Totally can't make healthcare more affordable.
Education.
Yeah. Fuck education.
Healthcare.
We need the money, basically, to be 3 times the budget of China's. I get it now.
When you take the number billion and...
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
hold on.
no,
It gets
no.
worse because I just read the other sentence. Total U.S. military spending is estimated to be around $934 billion in 2020.
Is that per year?
That's for this most recent year, yes.
Oh, my... That's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of money.
Where's all the Vespane gas? You need more geysers. Wait, what's the thing in StarCraft? You require more gas. You require more gas.
Not enough
minerals. Not enough minerals.
All right,
They have cheat codes on.
Now that this has just pissed me off, let's get back to China.
Let's keep going. CRISPR has the ability, to modify genes and the ability to modify human capabilities on the battlefield is still only hypothetical at the present moment. But there are indications that the Chinese military researchers are starting to explore its potential. According to Elsa Kania, who is an expert on Chinese defense technology at the Center for a New American Security, and Wilson Vorndick, a consultant on China matters, and a former Navy officer, Carolanne, that's very rude of you. They say that China has newly found interest in using biotechnology to tackle things like infectious disease, but to also explore the military potential and even the offensive applications of biotech.
Oh, I apologize. As somebody who grew up being made fun of for their last name, I could just empathize with Mr. Wilson. All right, so while you may be listening to this and thinking, this is some scary shit, let's make it worse. China's not the first country to explore this idea of creating a super soldier, and nor will they be the last, because it seems like that's kind of where our futures are headed. So the US, to start, has been pursuing super soldiers for years, and this is in a lot of different forms. So it's not just gene editing. So for example, clothing, like a graphene-based chainmail, bionic boots, or gecko-type climbing gear.
These boots were made for walking on walls.
God. Yeah, when they do come out with that, I hope they pick you up on the marketing team.
It's like plus 10 speed, plus 20 charisma, -5 holding capability, though.
In addition to that, so there's also synthetic blood, which in this case would be respirosite, if I'm saying that correctly. So this is a theoretical red blood cell made from diamonds, meaning they would never run out of breath, and they could spend hours underwater without other equipment.
I would like that one. I would like diamond blood. You could sell your blood on the market. You could sell your blood. And
this is probably why they haven't done it, so thanks.
Oh, but like I would hold my breath for just the longest time.
What, like when we're grocery shopping and I'm like, no, you can't get this, like, I don't know, 45-pound bag of
popcorn,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, that's fair. We're gonna air all my laundry today, apparently.
Yeah, after that chaotic entrance that you gave us, yeah. Okay. Also, in addition to this, so pain immunizations that would last for 30 days.
This would be awesome, minus day 31. Like, could you imagine 30 days of stubbed toes? And then, like, it all hits you at once on day 31.
Yeah, so this is kind of meant to hold soldiers over until they can get proper medical care. I feel like that's just kind of fucked up.
I think this is all terrifying.
This is all terrible.
It becomes comical when put on a normal human being's daily life.
Yeah. And then the last one is technology. So computer chips that can directly connect to human brains via implants. But there's a lot of concerns around this one because of the potential for hacking.
OMG. This is like one of my favorite books. It's called Feed by Matthew Tobin Anderson. Totally a cool read. It's even cooler if you check out our sponsor. Just kidding, not actually our sponsor. But there's a really cool Audible version where... part of the book is you being a person in that world, and they all have these like computer implants in their bodies that lets them access the web via their brain, and you get ads, and the ads are really cool, and you can totally, instead of do drugs, hack into viruses and get like all messed up. It's a really cool book until the skin starts falling off. It's a really cool story.
Audible is going to sue us one of these
Can
days.
they sue us? This is good
know.
publicity. I taught that book, and I used their service.
Great. All right. So moving on. Remember that mad scientist thing that we talked about before?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a little dystopian sounding.
My favorite.
But the U.S. military literally has an initiative called the Mad Scientist Initiative.
Oh.
And the goal is to better understand new technologies and scientific efforts that could aid warfighters. So basically, they look for anything that's happening within a commercial space that they could incorporate into their operations. And when I was digging into this a little more, in some cases, they even brought up the possibility of human-robot fighting teams.
So is it like humans teaming up with robots, or
Yes.
like cyborg, like RoboCop?
No, it would be the first.
So like, I don't trust robots.
Yeah, no, me neither. They clearly have not watched Battlestar Galactica.
Have you seen Terminator? Have you seen Skynet?
No, obviously not. All right, so moving on. Shout out to our last episode, episode 18, about Nazis being on meth during World War II, because this ties in very nicely, not on purpose, but just kind of happened with the news cycle.
Can you really shout yourself out? Like, can we shout ourselves out?
Yeah, that's the kind of energy I'm going to end 2020 with. So
shout out to me from last week for not having a breakdown that was too big to not have a pod episode.
Oh, gosh. So the Nazis, for anyone who did not listen to last week, highly recommend. It's super interesting. But this kind of aligns with the idea of super soldiers. So the TLDR of that entire episode is that soldiers were given meth to allow them to fight with less hesitation, less concern for human safety, and staying awake for longer periods.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off or anything, but I have a really good idea. If we're trying to go down that path of like creating super soldiers, what we really need to do as a country is find a planet located kind of like off the beaten path of the normal galaxy, where we can safely clone a great warrior and just modify the crap out of this guy and maybe give him a little clone of his own that he can raise as a child. Like, I don't see anything going wrong with this, like a clone army. There's at least 66 reasons why this is a great move to make.
Hold up.
Do it.
What?
Do it.
What if this is how life on Earth started like?
Am I Boba Fett?
No, you're not Boba Fett.
Jango Fett.
No, you're no. You are not a Mandalorian, and I don't know how many times I have to tell you that.
No, he's a foundling. Look, he's a foundling. Like he's merely an adopted Mandalorian. Like,
actually, he's he's a foundling. So here's reason 67 that you're wrong. Now let's get back to talking about my animes.
This is my last episode, friends. It's been a good run. We're getting a divorce. We're getting a divorce. It's got to happen.
Oh gosh. All right. Getting back to it. So it's been discovered, kind of tying into the idea of the drugs during World War II. And again, if you listen to that episode about the Nazis and the drugs that they did, they're not the only country who's ever done this, who's provided their military with drugs. And more recently, it's been discovered that ISIS fighters actually do something very similar to the World War II strategy. There's a difference, though. So they take a drug called Captagon, which makes them apparently feel invincible on the battlefield.
Oh.
And what sets this apart is it's not just an amphetamine. It's an amphetamine, it's a stimulant, and a theophylline, which is a drug traditionally used to treat respiratory diseases such as asthma, and the latter greatly reduces the former's psychoactive properties, making the co-drug a powerful amphetamine. So what's kind of interesting about this is that it was totally legal in countries like the US until the 1980s. It was actually used as like a relaxer back in the day.
What?
That's maybe why the 70s were so great. I don't know.
Okay,
wasn't around.
These are horse tranquilizers. They make you feel great.
So moving on, Russia has entered the chat. So Russia is already discussing incorporating gene editing into its military strategy. And Putin has described gene-edited super soldiers as worse than nuclear bombs.
That's
so promising.
That's actually something I agree with the guy on. I actually agree with him on that.
But he's totally going to do it. Totally going to do it. So Turns out in 2019, it came out that Russia was already genetically testing their soldiers to determine who the best fighters were and who the best thinkers were. And then they were, given these like genetic passports, which were then meant to assign soldiers within their military specialty.
Oh, weird. I wonder where Putin would put me in his ranks. Oh, he has really good intentions, but he always gets caught up. See, he always self-sabotages, and that's why he'll never reach rank of like Birdman person who can fly now. So he'll only have the ability to self-sabotage a little bit quicker, so he can get to his actual planned events.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So, moving on from Russia, also Japan. So Japan was on board with development of super soldier exoskeletons, which seems like the more common choice for countries, that maybe don't want to step over that like ethical boundary of gene mutations. So in 2012, Japan reveals this pair of like robotic legs that would help soldiers leap great distances with ease. I just like to imagine that it would basically be like them on like pogo sticks.
Just two pogo sticks. The only thing is you have to have really good balance. But you know what? What year did that one Call of Duty come out? The one with the jetpacks? I hated it.
I hated
Advanced
it.
Warfare.
Yeah.
It was like my first Xbox One game. 2014,
yeah,
2013,
like
2014. Oh, that was in the game. That's a really good idea. Let's totally do that.
Well, maybe they took it up in the game because they knew something we didn't.
Maybe. But I'd say out of all of this, I think going down the technology path, that would be, I think, a little cooler than like giving humans like unfair mods. If you could modify any of your genes, what would you want to have modified? Assuming that's how it worked. What would you have modified? Not robotically, but genetically.
You know what? I personally feel like I'm perfect despite my very obvious shortcomings.
Is that a short joke?
It is a short joke. I'm not even 5 feet tall.
No, you are 5 feet tall.
No,
I've
I'm not.
measured you
I'm
in
not
your
5 feet
sleep.
tall.
You're 5 feet
Matt,
tall.
I had to grab a bag of coffee beans with tongs earlier because I couldn't reach them, and it's not that high up.
Yeah, you did. I saw that. If I could modify any of my genes, I would want to, besides holding my breath for a really, 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 really long time.
Of course.
I would want longer fingers.
Ew.
Just like
Ew. That's so specific. What the fuck?
I want to be able to extend my fingers up to like 6 or 7 feet.
Why?
And just grab things.
Get like one of those little grabber things with like a fucking T-Rex head on it. Ew.
I want.
How am I supposed to go to
expand.
bed tonight knowing that I'm sleeping next to somebody and that I married somebody who's like 7 foot long fingers would be pretty fucking cool.
It's not like toes or something. It's something normal, like fingers. It's useful.
That's not useful. Have you ever seen the pictures of people who have like never cut their fingernails?
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's what I imagine your fingers would look like.
No, this is totally cool. It's fingers, and you know what? Every 2 inches, I get a knuckle, so I can keep bending it.
Ew.
Like,
oh my God, you've put a lot of thought into this.
No, this is top of the dome. I have other things like that were like superpowers, but that doesn't really play into this one. Like if I could have any superpower, it would be that I could turn water into steam, but only if it was like in a cup. Like I can't turn someone's blood into steam. That'd be too overpowered. Super villain status there. No, I can turn water into steam in a cup, so I can make tea really fast.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would want to do is probably just improve my vision. My vision is like -6 and -5. My lenses don't fit in my frames. They're too big.
Yeah, please help her.
Yeah.
Please help. She needs help to see stuff.
I don't think I even qualify for LASIK, so.
That's awful.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll qualify for gene
editing.
splicing.
Yeah.
You get 3 eyes instead of 2, and the third one is like right in the middle of your forehead.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Perfect vision.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can't think of anything else that I would want, and it's certainly not 7-foot long fingers.
No, but in all, I would want like unending endurance, like running endurance. I can't run for more than like a minute and a half without being like, I really hate this. I want unending physical endurance.
Is this an opportunity for me to get a 6-pack without having to actually do anything for it or eat healthy? Ooh, wait. I want them to modify my body so that pizza is a main food group that fuels my body and it's nutritious.
We're talking about science, not magic. You should be just permanently limber. Like, you're always like, oh, I'm so tight. My back hurts so much.
Yeah, it does.
I need to stretch.
Yeah.
No, just be
flexible.
Just be flexible.
Yeah, okay, I'll just be flexible and I'll just be tall.
This is
okay,
the end of
great,
the
thanks.
episode, friends. This has been a really fun one. I guess the question is, besides what would you want to have modified in your life? You know, what little maybe like technology thing could you get like have on your body, or like if you can modify one of your traits, what would it be? My big, I guess like a heavier question is, when will ethics take the back seat to a whoosh, whoosh, national security or whoosh, whoosh, the next big threat? I think that is literally around the corner, but let's not get into that. So thanks for hanging out. If you do have an answer, I genuinely want to hear what you would have modified. You can totally do like robot arm or something. I'd probably do like a robot brain.
Yeah, maybe we'll throw a poll up on Instagram and Twitter to kind of see what people would do.
I think I would lean more like robotic parts than I would like actual DNA, but I'll save my answer for the polls, I guess.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us this week. If you have made it this far after the chaotic episode that this has turned into, and we hope to see you back here next week. We drop new episodes every Monday on all of your favorite platforms.
Except for MySpace, but
Except
maybe
for
one
MySpace,
day.
and not
and
LinkedIn.
Google Plus.
And Google Plus is dead. It's very, very dead.
Google Plus is my favorite.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us this week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.